Welcome to all our viewers in India and around the world. You are watching Defense Dynamics and I am Danveer Singh coming to you from New Delhi. On Defense Dynamics, today we'll talk about West Asia, which is on the edge of escalation as US-Iran military standoff scales up by each passing day. We'll also tell you about India-EU defense partnership, a strategy without alliances. And on our eastern neighborhood, Indonesia's Rafale induction signals and Asia's silent air race. On the Indian side, the ASTRA Mk-2 is giving India an air combat leap. The Indian Navy is building a spar from surface to seabed, while the Indian Army gets transformed into fighting faster, fighting smarter Army 2.0. And in my take, we will share our thoughts on emerging quiet convergence with clear intent, and that is the Pakistan-Bangladesh-China nexus. All this and far more, but first the global defense headlines. In the budget of 2026, the Indian government has announced a defense allocation of Rs 7.85 lakh crore, marking a sharp 15% increase from Rs 6.81 lakh crore last year, as New Delhi sharpens its focus on military modernization in post-Operation Sindoor security environment. Key allocations include Rs 2.19 lakh crore for capital expenditure to enhance military capabilities and around Rs 1.85 lakh crore for new capital acquisition, giving a significant boost to the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. The Defense and Research Development Organization has successfully demonstrated solid fuel ducted ramjet or SFDR technology at the Integrated Test Range in Chandipur off the coast of Odisha. With this achievement, India has entered an elite group of nations possessing ramjet-powered missile technology, a critical enabler for the development of next-generation long-range air-to-air missile. India and Tanzania have discussed expanding defense cooperation in military training, maritime security and defense industry collaboration during the 4th edition of Joint Defense Cooperation Committee meeting. Both sides also explored new areas of cooperation, including counter-terrorism, peacekeeping training, and niche domains such as electronic warfare, cyber, and artificial intelligence. The Republic of Korea Air Force Boeing F-15K Slam Eagle multi-role fighter fleet is set for a major upgrade after Boeing received an 11-year hybrid contract to modernize the aircraft. Under the US $2.8 billion contract announced by the United States Department of Defense, Boeing will design and develop an integrated suite of aircraft systems for South Korea's F-15K fleet on behalf of Defense Acquisition Program Administration. The Republic of Korea Air Force currently operates 59 F-15K aircrafts. Germany's Hensoldt has secured a €100 million order from Dehel Defense to supply TRML-4D air surveillance radars, along with maintenance and training packages to countries participating in the European Sky Shield initiative. The TRML-4D active electronically scanned array radar will be integrated to Dehel Defense IRIS-T SLM medium range air defense system. We begin with the world's most volatile flashpoint, the Persian Gulf. The United States is reinforcing its military posture. Iran is responding in its own calibrated way, but this is all despite the fact that there are diplomatic efforts underway. Nevertheless, the Strait of Hormuz is under the global strategic lens. This isn't a war, but it is what comes just before it. Let's take a closer look. The Persian Gulf is once again at the center stage of global military attention. The United States has reinforced its forward military posture, deploying additional naval and air assets across the region, signaling deterrence, readiness, and resolve. Carrier strike groups now patrol contested waters.
Long-range bombers, aerial refuelers, and missile defense systems have been repositioned to cover key flashpoints. This is not a routine movement. This is strategic messaging. Across the Gulf, Iran is responding in a language it knows well: calibrated pressure, fast attack naval crafts, missile-armed patrol boats, unmanned aerial systems, and proxy forces across Yemen, Iraq, and Syria from Tehran's asymmetric playbook. At the heart of this confrontation lies the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow maritime corridor through which nearly one-fifth of world's oil supply passes every day. Any disruption here would ripple instantly through global energy markets, insurance rates, and strategic stability. What makes this standoff especially dangerous is its ambiguity. No formal declarations, no red lines publicly drawn, just parallel deployments, shadowing maneuvers, and constant surveillance. History shows that wars rarely begin with announcements anymore. They begin with postures, proximity, and miscalculation. In the Gulf today, deterrence is holding, but it's holding under strain.
The USS Abraham Lincoln remains deployed in the Gulf of Oman. After the US forces downed an Iranian drone, a move Washington says is meant to deter Iran's nuclear ambitions and regional proxy activities. The US has also sent more F-15 fighter jets, THAAD missile defenses, and drones to bases in Qatar and the UAE to counter possible Iranian threats. Iran has warned of war, but it also signaling openness to renewed nuclear talks scheduled for February 6 in Turkey's Istanbul. While the military buildup raises the risk of misstep in the Strait of Hormuz, the talks could provide a chance to ease tensions.
So far, deterrence is holding, but history reminds us when forces operate this close, intent matters less than miscalculation. The Gulf remains calm for now, but tense calm has a habit of breaking suddenly. While global attention remains fixed on flashpoints, a quieter but far more enduring shift is underway. India and the European Union are moving beyond trade and diplomacy towards security and defense cooperation. Not as allies, not as blocs, but as strategic partners in a changing world order. And here is why this matters.
While flashpoints dominate headlines, quieter strategic shifts are reshaping global security. One such shift is unfolding between India and the European Union. This emerging defense partnership moves beyond trade and diplomacy towards shared security interests, not as a formal alliance, but as a flexible, issue-based convergence. For Europe, the motivation is clear. With growing uncertainty in transatlantic commitments and rising pressure from Russia and China, the EU is seeking reliable strategic partners in the Indo-Pacific. For India, the calculation is sharper. Expanded engagement with Europe offers technology access, maritime cooperation, cybersecurity collaboration, and defense industrial opportunities without compromising strategic autonomy. Joint naval exercises, port calls, and shared situational awareness in key sea lanes underline this convergence. So does coordination on supply chain resilience and emerging technologies. This partnership reflects a changing world order, one where power is no longer concentrated and security is no longer binary. India is not choosing sides, it is widening options.
The signing of the EU-India Security and Defence Partnership marks a significant deepening of cooperation in maritime security, cyber defence and counter-terrorism. Joint naval exercises with the European Union Naval Force in June 2025, along with India's access to European Union's €150 billion security action for Europe, SAFE program for defense production to highlight industrial synergies. For India, it enhances strategic autonomy amid Indo-Pacific tensions, while for the European Union, it diversifies partnerships beyond traditional allies. In an increasingly multipolar world, such flexible alignments are reshaping global security dynamics.
The partnership won't make headlines like a military standoff, but it could shape the balance of power far longer. India isn't aligning, it's expanding strategic space, and that may be its biggest strength. The race for air power in Asia isn't loud, but it is accelerating. Indonesia's induction of Rafale fighter jets is the latest signal that Southeast Asia is quietly upgrading its deterrence posture. This is not about war preparation, it's about avoiding vulnerability.
Southeast Asia's airspace is undergoing a quiet transformation. Indonesia's induction of Rafale fighter jets mark more than a procurement milestone, it signals a regional shift in military thinking. Across the ASEAN, nations are modernizing their air forces not for conflict but for deterrence. Multi-role fighters, long-range sensors and network warfare capabilities are becoming standard. The Rafale's appeal lies in its versatility, air dominance, precision strike, maritime attack and interoperability with Western and regional partners. For Indonesia, it strengthens air sovereignty across vast archipelagic territory. For the region, it reflects a broader trend, that is diversification. Countries are avoiding over-dependence on any single supplier, balancing geopolitical risks and operational needs. In the contested airspace of South China Sea, air power now acts as a stabilizer. Presence without provocation, capability without escalation. In Asia, arms race isn't loud, it's deliberate.
Across Asia, air power is no longer about dominance, it's about balance. And in this silent arms race, capability speaks louder than intent. India's air combat doctrine is undergoing a decisive shift. The focus is no longer on close-in dogfights, but on who strikes first from farthest away. At the center of this shift is India's indigenous Beyond Visual Range missile program. Here's how it changes the equation.
Modern air combat is decided long before pilots see each other. Detection, tracking and first engagement now determine victory. India's ASTRA Mk-2 program reflects this reality. Designed for a long-range, beyond visual range air-to-air missile, it significantly extends the Indian Air Force's engagement envelope. With improved propulsion and advanced seeker and indigenous guided systems, ASTRA Mk-2 reduces reliance on imported missile systems while enhancing operational flexibility. Integrated across multiple fighter platforms, it enables Indian pilots to engage adversaries at extended ranges, disrupt formations and deny airspace. This is not just a missile upgrade, it's a doctrinal shift from reactive defense to proactive aerial denials. In air, distance is dominance and India is extending both.
With DRDO confirming the ASTRA Mk-2's extended range to 240 km through advanced dual pulse propulsion and indigenous seekers, this beyond visual range air-to-air missile positions India to outrange adversaries like China's PL-15. Flight trials in early 2026 will validate strikes beyond 200 kilometers, paving the way for Indian Air Force induction to year-end on platforms like Sukhoi 30 Mki and Tejas. This upgrade not only reduces important dependency but shifts doctrine to proactive air denial, enhancing flexibility in contested skies.
In modern air warfare, distance is power, and with indigenous long-range missile capability, India is ensuring that advantage stays firmly in its own hands. The Indian Ocean is no longer a quiet strategic space. It's a highway of global trade and theater of growing competition. India's response is not reactive, it's structured, layered, and deliberate. And this is how India is securing its maritime lifelines.
The Indian Ocean is no longer a quiet strategic backyard. It is a contested space critical to global trade, energy flows, and geopolitical influence. The Indian Navy's response is layered and deliberate. Aircraft carriers provide visible power projection, submarines deliver silent deterrence, unmanned systems ensure persistent surveillance. Together, these elements form a surveillance strike network stretching across key sea lanes and choke points. Maritime drones extend the Navy's reach beyond the horizon. Subsurface assets complicate adversary planning. Carrier groups provide rapid response in crisis. This is sea control adapted for 21st century, continuous, networked, and multi-dimensional. In the Indian Ocean, presence equals protection.
Sea power today isn't about presence alone, it's about persistence. And in Indian Ocean, India is making sure it stays both visible and decisive. Future wars will be faster, shorter, and far less forgiving. Recognizing this, the Indian Army is reshaping itself not in numbers but in structure, speed, and integration. And this is Army's next evolution.
Future land wars will be short, intense, and unforgiving. They will reward speed, integration, and precision while punishing delay. The Indian Army's shift towards integrated battle groups reflects these lessons. These formations combine infantry, armor, artillery, drones, and surveillance into mission-ready units. Drone scouts ahead, artillery delivers precision fires, infantry maneuvers under real-time intelligence. The objective is simple: compress decision time, dominate the battle space, and deny escalation space to the adversary. These reforms draw directly from modern conflicts where adaptability has replaced mass as a decisive factor. This is an army preparing not for parades but for first contact.
This transformation isn't for theory or display, it is built for contact where speed, coordination, and precision decide the outcome. What we are seeing today is not a formal alliance, but it is a convergence, a quiet, calibrated coming together of Pakistan, Bangladesh, and China, which is driven by capability gaps, political signaling, and a shared discomfort with India's rising strategic weight. So let's be clear, this is not about ideology, it's about leverage. China provides the technology, financing, and strategic umbrella. Pakistan provides military integration, testing grounds, and a permanent state of hostility with India, while Bangladesh provides geography, access to Bay of Bengal, and proximity to India's eastern flank and political space for defense diversification. For Beijing, this is classical peripheral pressure. Why confront India head-on when you can stretch its attention westward and eastward at the same time? For Pakistan, the objective remains unchanged: strategic relevance, closer military coordination with China, outreach to Bangladesh, and joint narratives are about staying indispensable in Beijing's regional calculus. And for Bangladesh, this is less about confrontation and more about bargaining power, playing multiple partners to maximize economic and military options. But there's the key point. This nexus is transactional, not transformational. There is no shared command structure, no unified doctrine, no mutual defense obligation. What exists is alignment of convenience, arms sales, joint exercises, intelligence exchanges, and diplomatic signaling. For India, the response does not lie in alarmism. It lies in clarity. India already holds the decisive advantage: economic scale, naval dominance in the Indian Ocean, strategic partnerships, and indigenous defense capacity. The real risk is not encirclement, it is distraction. This nexus aims to force India into a reactive posture, to stretch resources, to amplify noise on multiple fronts. India's answer must remain what it has increasingly become: prepared, not provoked, engaged, not entangled. The Pakistan-Bangladesh-China convergence isn't a new axis of power. It's a reminder that as India rises, resistance will coordinate. And the true test of power is not how loudly you respond, but how steadily you advance. That's all for this week on Defense Dynamics. Share your comments on social media with #DDWithDanveer. See you next week with new defense and geopolitical developments and their analysis. Until then, goodbye and take care.